About how we can make schools better for today's young learners. For hundreds of years, school has always been required. Whether it's private education, public education, or homeschooling, all children are required to go to school throughout the course of their childhood. But did you know some states are allowing kids to drop out as early as age 14? The debate on how old a child is allowed to drop out of high school is one of the most controversial debates in America's education system today. And in today's society, children's education is crucial, and we as Americans are falling down the charts in our intelligences. So, where do we begin this change for the better? Research suggests improvements must be made in schools for today's young learners through changing age requirements and altering the reason for testing. I will be taking questions, but if you could hold them to the end of the presentation, that would be great. So, as we all know, education has been around for hundreds of years. The NCSL, National Conference of State Legislation, tells us that more than 150 years have passed since Horace Mann helped Massachusetts establish a statewide system of education that eventually led to the requirement that all children had to receive an education in public schools. In 1852, Massachusetts became the first state to pass state attendance laws. By 1918, all states required students to receive an education. So laws like this still exist today. But when a student reaches high school, the tables turn. Some states, like I said, are allowing students to drop out as early as 14. Other states as old as 17. Still, by letting teens drop out of high school at a young age, we're setting up their future for failure. Here on my poster by Jose Munoz from Education Pays shows the yearly income of college graduates, students that have experienced some college, high school graduates, and high school dropouts. High school dropouts only make an average of $23,000 a year versus almost $10,000 more that the high school graduate makes. College graduates, 3 times the amount of high school dropouts, making almost $60,000 a year, sometimes plus. Also, B.J. Casey from the Adolescent Mind tells us that brain research indicating that brain development is not complete until near the age of 25. So if the brain is not developed until the age 25, why are we letting 14 to 17-year-old children make a decision that's going to impact the rest of their future? Statistics also show that teens that drop out of high school are more likely to deal with teen pregnancies, drug abuse, and crime. Here on this side of the poster, we have the average unemployment rates for college graduates, students that have experienced some college, high school graduates, and high school dropouts. For high school dropouts, 16% of those who drop out are going to be unemployed, whereas high school graduates is only 11%, some college being 9%, and college graduate being the smallest at 5%. So letting teens drop out at this young age gives them not only, if a job, only $23,000 a year on average, but also a very good chance of being unemployed. So why are teens dropping out of school, and how do we keep them in school? We need to alter the reason for our testing. Paul Goodman of Growing Up Absurd tells us it is really necessary to remind our academics of the ancient history of examination. In the medieval university, the whole point of a grueling trial of the candidate was whether or not to accept him as a peer. Testing goes way back to the medieval times, but now we use it in a negative impact. Testing needs to be revised so it measures what a student has learned rather than what a student does not know. Testing a child every week or so has no benefit. Constantly pointing out what a child does not know is not benefiting them one bit. They should be tested on what they know, and from there, should be placed with a learning style that fits them best. Goodman also tells us that there are several good reasons for testing and kinds of tests, but if the aim is to discover weakness and to point out and downgrading and punishing it, it thereby is inviting a student to conceal weakness and by faking and bullying, if not cheating. Students need to feel safe in their workplace. They need to feel confident, and believe that they can learn through the education system. So, all in all, we need to change our education system for us Americans to advance back to the top. By changing age requirements and the reason for testing, this could be an easy start. With technology raising and expectations of high-paying jobs being high, we need to make sure all children receive the high school diploma and all the education they are given to throughout their childhood. If we don't change, we will have more debt and less jobs. Is there any questions? Why will raising the dropout age improve our standard of education in our community? That's a good question. This will improve our standard of education in our society because it will demand that each student up to age 18 will have an effective education. It will provide more jobs and set up a better future for those individuals. Manaz tells us that high school dropouts, are 3 times more likely to be jobless than college graduates. This will help kids and young adults get off the streets and into successful jobs. Are there any other questions? What are the key benefits of implementing these improvements to the educational system? Another great question. The key benefits of implementing these improvements are that we as Americans will be able to lower unemployment rates and get rid of our country's debt. Keeping kids in school until age 18 will give them a drive they need to finish school and graduate. By graduating high school, students will have more drive to go on to college and do better things. Manaz also tells us college graduates earn twice as more than a high school graduate, shown on the graph. Thank you for listening. If there's anything else, let me know.